Shadow Link, the final encounter from the Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventure. Now what do we have here? We jump from the first to the second to the last one. By then you fought Dark Link 8 times and can pretty much predict him just as much as your Shadow. This is a spawning pool where multiple Shadow Links will continue to regenerate until Zelda intervenes, and then you can finish him off once and for all. This would have been a really cool fight, but every Shadow Link has the same amount of ADD that Sonic the Hedgehog has and just loaf around. Shadow Link, the 8th encounter from the Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventure. Really? Ice? Like that's gonna stop anybody, and after 7 encounters you couldn't think of anything cooler than that to use? No pun intended. In fact, this might actually work against the Shadow Links because you can get up close and personal really quick and knock them back. The ironic thing is that this is probably the longest battle, but you'll land on the slippery slope of forgetting it faster than that. The Poe Sisters from the Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. I still stand by what I said about Meg in the Ocarina of Time. Meg sucks, does the same thing, and her sisters are still carrying the heavy load in this battle. So, excluding Meg, her sisters are a bit faster than the Ocarina of Time versions, but extremely weak, and there's a point in the battle for fighting 2 of them at once, which is probably the big plus here. About the time limit, don't worry about it, because Meg is gone from this list in 3, 2, 1. Shadow Link, the 3rd encounter from the Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures. This might be an easier question to ask. Who didn't see this coming when they saw the logo and the transition? I thought so. Following up from the 2nd encounter, this is the first time that Shadow Link splits up into 4 and he gets fun. It becomes a 4 versus 4 match, and there are a couple of houses to mix things up. Finally, we have an inch of respect for you. Just a shame that it won't last towards the end of the game. Shadow Link, the 5th encounter from the Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures. To be honest, I feel like I'm back at my old survey giver job. Just a little more, just a little more. Come on, let's finish that survey. Worst job ever. Never going back there again. You won't see Shadow Link for a long while after this, so let's slide him off really quick. Part of this battle is underground, where it's pitch black, where you will see nothing but other links. Pretty cool concept to step up from the last one, and forget about jokes. Let's get out of here. The Slime Eel from the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. I will give this boss one thing. It is the biggest demolisher of a room I've ever seen. The Slime Eel will break the center floor piece, then break open 4 of the walls to try reaching out and ambushing Link. To top that off, his tail will casually be wandering around the room, forcing you to move. However, because you can grab the Slime Eel from a distance and hit it to death while his tail is stunned, it doesn't take 2 and 2 to figure this one out. Argus from the Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past. This guy is such a chore. He has his little minions that surround him and he'll circle them out a bit occasionally. Well, this isn't hard if you keep your distance, but it feels like you're mowing the lawn, taking one minion after another off of them and killing them. His next form is a little harder when his minions are gone, swinging around the arena pool style, but overall predictable and a bit unnecessary to one's sanity. Cold Stare from the Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past. The problem with this boss is that it thinks it's doing something that's challenging, but it's a simple concept you should already know. In A Link to the Past, it's important to keep moving and watch how enemies move. Oh, sheesh, so let's drop an ice rock that shatters where you were 2 seconds ago, and create 3 enemies that slip and slide in one direction with complete predictability. Congrats, you've graduated from Link to the Past 101 again. Darknut from the Legend of Zelda Minish Cap. Darknuts put up a bit of a fight, using their shield to block your attacks and tries to attack accordingly. However, it's not exactly hard to get around those and damage them. Just give it about 3 smacks and they're gone. We've got some balance going, just a shame it died so fast and we scrape it underneath the rug of our minds as soon as we leave the room. Hinnix from the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Hinnix is an easy mini-boss in this game. His bombs are predictable and he's low on health, but he does get points because he causes 1 whole heart container of damage, and at this point in the game, you don't have too many. Plano from The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. This is an interesting mini-boss because he's considered one of the biggest trolls in this game, but he dies in a few quick hits. Plano will block your sword attacks and he will have an opening after he pulls a charge-up attack. The rest I leave for you to determine, but because he's annoying and dies in a few hits, this seems about the right rank. King Boleyn from the third encounter from The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Ooh, start cowering at that big weapon. Not! Because of its heavy weapon, it takes forever to turn and get ready to swipe its weapon. You can easily get out of this one unscathed. You fought this guy as well a couple of other times, but those encounters were way cooler.
King Balban from the final encounter from The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. One phrase. Easy as hell.
There's nothing more that needs to be said for the last entry. Rolling Bones from The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. This boss is a little decent. Using Rock's Feather, you must jump over the log he prepares to throw at you. While he prepares his next attack, you have an opening to attack him. Still easy, but it is well built. Chief Soldier from The Legend of Zelda Four Swords Adventures. This guy is a straightforward easy encounter, but admittedly fun when he commands a few soldiers after you, and he's not backing down either. He'll try to lunge you and it's surprisingly effective, but we all know where our weak points are after delivering heavy blows, right? Wiz Ropes from The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap. You walk into an ambush on this one, and it seems harmless enough, but give it a couple of waves of wizards shooting spells at you before you realize you have 8 at once coming after you. Now that is some mayhem. The Sky Whale from The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. Let's give a big hand to Phantom Hourglass lasting the longest out of the 16 Zelda titles for the first entry. To top it off, this is actually a really decent boss fight. Sky Whale will move around in the air where you will shoot its eyes with your cannons, and it will fight back with orbs and lunging at you in the water. Good news for everyone, I think the bosses will start getting decent from here on out. Eyesore from The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages. Many say that this boss is not a sight for sore eyes in difficulty. To that I respectfully disagree. Remember that if you know how to kill a boss, of course each next time will be easier. You see, from a fresh player's perspective, the surrounding eyes may seem intimidating enough to someone to keep their distance and attack from there, in contrast to getting up close and personal and just killing it in 10 seconds flat. Also, if you switch places with Eyesore, the surrounding enemies start scurrying around, sending the fresh player to think a little bit. I repeat, this is not a bad boss at all, but yes, it does lose points because you can kill it quick. Rocktite, the snow encounter from The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks. Heh, good to know Zelda doesn't like bugs. On the plus side, we're getting into a train battle, and we all like trains, I think, but this boss is easy. Not a bad one, it's pretty much a target practice arena where if you don't hit its eye enough, it will ram you and you take damage. The design is pretty cool too. Rocktite, the sand encounter from The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks. He is mad, and you can tell. Rocktite is the same but with a few improvements. He is a lot faster, he'll start crawling on the ceiling to add more variety, and he'll close his eye on some occasions when he tries to ram you, forcing you to shoot some bombs on short notice in the cavern. Awesome sequel to a boss. Very well done. Subterra from The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages. This little digger is pretty interesting. Having to use a very general item that isn't found in the dungeon, you have to dig him up with a shovel then hit his exposed hide. But think about it, when would you think to use the shovel? Especially when he sticks his head out to use his drill. I think many Zelda players would have stooped to other weapons first. Boulder Rock, the mini-boss version from The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. This is the mini-boss version after you cripple it in the temple, but that's a story for another part in this countdown. You can tell it's really badly injured, but still persistent enough to kill you, and for some it's enjoyment for those who hate scorpions, and for some in disappointment who are sentimental thinkers. You have to put it out of its misery. I could describe its moveset, but it's too slow, and that's for the boss version, which you've done before this, so this version is strikingly easy. Snapper from The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks. This guy will snap a whip around Link and drag him either towards him or away from him. Some find it difficult to get the timing right to strike him when Link is pulled towards Snapper, but he is an easy mini-boss to knock down though, especially if you know the timing mechanics. But yes, he is rather unique. Cyclock from The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. This battle gets points for pulling it off on 2 screens, which is probably the biggest feature, but loses points because it's repetitious and predictable. Cyclock will hover over whirlwinds, at which you use the second screen to chuck bombs up to him, stun him, and then let it loose on him. Other than explaining that he charges at you occasionally, there's not much else to say. Mothula from The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks. This is quite the fun bug to play with. What you have to do is propel the items he throws at you and rebound it back in his face. Get too ahead of yourself and it'll blow your ego right back at you. Hey, you're starting the game with the touchscreen. Take it easy, buddy. Blaze from The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. This is a cool fight. Blaze will separate into 3 different parts, at which you must use the boomerang to combine them all back together. Easy boss, sure, but it's memorable and it has an attack to cause flying rocks to come down. And even the design is a nice touch. Nice way to start things out. Anglerfish from The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages. To be honest, when I see this fish just bouncing between the platforms, it makes me laugh. It just looks so ridiculous. Anyways, is this a bad boss? No, not really. It's just silly. Timing your strikes in this platforming battle, you have to hit the orb on its forehead, which is a fairly challenging thing to do while you're dodging him. One thing that is cool about this battle, you can't shoot senseis at him to deflate him. Easier? Yes, but it adds variety. Going from The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords. This is the culprit right here, the reason I had to delay this part for a day or two. I originally had 287 Zelda bosses when I started this list, and figured I must have added a boss somewhere when I got 288. Wrong. Turns out I had another copy of this boss on my list, so I had to do some decent adjustments. Sorry about that. Yes, I found a substitute, so it's still 288 and good to go. Going is neither a thrilling or boring boss. It'll shoot out a colored rock and Link must deflect to another to catch this boss in it. Interesting, but it doesn't look like a lot of teamwork for this game if you're just hitting a volleyball to one or the other. King Boleyn, the second encounter from The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. What is with this guy? He acts like your rival but doesn't fit for the role with the difficulty part. When you escort the wagon, you come across this bozo again on the bridge and holds up 2 shields to defend himself from his sword strikes. Oh sheesh. Everyone knows you don't go for revenge by just covering your bases of what made you lose last time. I guess your attacks do get through to him if this and the next 2 encounters after this proves he must have got hit in the brain in the first epic fight. Hothead from The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Wait, you can't fight fire with fire. Well, if you can get past that Link has the carrying capacity of a parking garage in his pockets, I think you'll do just fine with that logic. Hothead's fireballs do massive damage, about 4 hearts, but it's so easy to catch him with the fire rod, because he becomes stunned by it. It doesn't help his reputation that he jumps around predictably and wheels around in a pool-like fashion. Yes, the 4 hearts, he died a few hits, but yeah.